Tattva. Author Yugtulsi Padma Bhushan Param Pujya Dr. Shri Ramkinkarji Maharaj. Chapter 8 Incarnation. The being can understand the mystery of Brahma and Mahashakti only after the rise of reverence and faith in the conscience. Without the union of Brahm and Mahashakti, the solution of the eternal problems of the being's conscience is impossible. What is the nature of that problem? Energy is constantly active in the existence. Creation, preservation, and destruction is being carried out through the various forms of that energy. The human too feels that energy and its importance. Today, there is a competition going on in all countries to express that energy. Atom, hydrogen, inanimate, animate. The human wants to extract energy from everything because more and more energy is needed for the fulfillment of his needs. But the emergence of energy can become a boon and curse both. In fact, the possibility of becoming a curse is more. Whether that power is mental, intellectual, or physical, material born, but is compelled to act as per the wish of those who have it in their hands. The human is progressing in the expressing of power with such a great speed, but his mental state is still there where it was. His whole life is controlled by the same tendencies of likes and dislikes. That is why the whole human community is troubled with fear. At any moment, struggle for power can become the cause for the destruction of the whole world. But this problem is not new. Such situations keep arising in the human community again and again, and our sages have tried to solve this problem. In the emergence of power, there is one more fact which increases its complexity. The emergence of power is easier for a Rajoguni person compared to Sattvamay person. That intense dissatisfaction, devotion, and agility which is needed for it lacks in the Sattvaguni person. He is more thought oriented and contented, hence, he will be lagging in the emergence of power. Going of power in the hands of the Rajoguni person increases the chances of its misuse. Even more, the demons and monsters are hence portrayed more powerful in the Puranas from this very perspective. The depiction of Ravan's abilities confirms this truth. The unobstructed passage of Ravan through the sky, ground, and water, and the ability of transforming into the desired form is rare for the Sattvic kings. It is clear that it was not possible to defeat Ravan with power. Hence, he is able to keep the entire universe in bondage. The prosperity, beauty, and grandeur of the whole world became the means of fulfillment of his desires. भुजबल विश्व बस से करी राखिस कोई न स्वतंत्र मंडलीक मणि रावण राज करई निज मंत्र देव अच्छ गंधर्व नर किन्नर नाग कुमारी जीति बरी निज बाहुबल बहु सुंदर बर नारी. Eventually, the whole world groans with the atrocities of Ravan. But what is the solution? Where is God? The center of the beliefs of humans is sleeping. Often the weakest of weak man too is contented thinking that somewhere or the other his protector, some God is there too. But in practicality, his contentment proves to be a deception. The weak are tormented at the hands of the powerful. The law of karmafal is formulated in an attempt to resolve it, but the law of karma and its chain is such a complex puzzle in itself. Its ends are not visible. Often, the powerful one makes this law too his weapon and supports his power and atrocities. So, are the beliefs and faith of the human are all false? Philosophy gives a logical answer to it that God is certainly there, but is a witness in itself, is immovable and inactive like the fire residing in a tree, but not able of helping directly unless it is revealed by rubbing. The Rajoguni has attraction for expression of energy, hence he expresses it too, but neither does he feel the need of expression of the Brahma, nor does he have the means by which he could express it, and the Brahma doesn't seem to be of any use to him. This is that ground where the Sattva can move ahead, defeating him. It is clear that he has only one way left with him, that he reveals the Brahman. After his revelation, the energy would herself be engaged in his service because Brahma only is the establishment of energy. All her activeness itself is contained in the Brahman. In this way, the union of energy and Brahma will become the cause of victory over devilish power. The path of only the accumulation of power is, is the devilish path. Hence, the revelation of Brahma through devotion is the true path of peace. The actual solution of this problem is the incarnation of all encompassing Brahma in the heart of the person, which is found in very few people. Both Duryodhan and Arjun go to Krishna to invite him to receive his help before the start of the battle of Mahabharata. Duryodhan reaches first because he was more alert. He knew of Krishna's sympathy towards the Pandavas, hence, he wants to bind him in the bondage of rules that he will have to fight the battle on the side of one who gives the invitation first. Pratham Nimantran Dadatra Dattadra. But Mayapati Krishna was sleeping at that time. The egoistic Duryodhan gets seated on the seating kept beside the head, besides the head in his sleeping room, and by that time comes Arjun. It was natural to sit towards the Lord's feet, and immediately God's sleep is broken. Naturally, the sight went first at Arjun. The problem was complex. Duryodhan arrived first. Lord saw Arjun first. The solution came out thus. On one side, weaponless Shri Krishna, and on the other side, one Akshani army. Arjun was given the first chance to choose. Duryodhan got restless. If Arjun asks for the army, what would I do taking the unarmed Shri Krishna? But on the next moment, he smiled on his fortune. Arjun asked for Shri Krishna, who is bound in the pledge of unarmedness and not the army. Duryodhan, swelled with happiness, walked off with enthusiasm, taking the army. But when the calculations were done at the end of the battle, then it was revealed who was right. The Nar had courage, faith, and trust. Then only he could ask for Narayan, who, despite being inactive and unarmed, is the most active. But at that time, how unreasonable Arjun's demand must have appeared. Do we have the stability like Arjun, or we are being inspired by Duryodhan like tendency? This is a question to be considered. It may seem an idealistic thing, but this can be the only way to protect devastation. Because today this is clear that in power conflict there is no question of victory, defeat. The question is of devastation. Narayan's incarnation in this situation, the manifestation of the element of God in the man, is the only means. This is the path of devotion. The incarnation of Brahma is in the society and also in the being's conscience. Brahma himself takes incarnation physically, bears a body. Both these beliefs are accepted in the ideology of devotion, but there is some difference in both the ideologies. Though in a person the manifestation of Narayanatva is possible, but there are many reasons which make him limited. The body itself is one of them because the body is a result of karma and there are restrictions of fate, etc., associated with it. Hence, the body that the Brahma bears in the time period of the incarnation is free from the bondages of these karma and fate. He keeps on accomplishing all tasks out of his own will. That is why he is divine. निज इच्छा निर्मित तनु maya gun gopar. Understanding this ideology intellectually is more difficult compared to the ideology of manifestation of Narayan in Nar, God in man. Though in Manas this aspect has been emphasized greatly. The basic ideology and solution is just one for both kinds of expressions, despite being controversial. Hence, from this point of view, both benefits can be attained from the way of expression in Manas. Even in the root of this incarnation too is Lord Shiv only. He himself reveals this truth in front of the deities in strong words. The earth goes to Brahma, being tormented by Ravan's atrocities. In mental perspective, the perseverance of earth holds a specific meaning. One name for earth is forgiveness. But Ravan's atrocities become intolerable to her. Similarly, the emotion of tolerance and forgiveness that is there in human mind sometimes feels that it is unforgivable, cannot be tolerated now. Then she takes the shelter of Brahma, who personifies the intellect of the whole. But both in the lives of the individual and the whole, such situations arise when the intelligence too feels itself incapable. All the virtues, that is, deities, are defeated, and then to get protection from this situation, that Essence is searched, which is the root cause of everything, which is indestructible. Brahma said this to the earth, the journey of the earth and everyone's inability. Goswamiji described Brahma's answer in very touching words. धेनु रूप धरि हृदय विचारी, गई तहाँ जहाँ सुर मुनि झारी। निज संताप सुनाए सि रोई, काहू ते कछु काज न होई। सुर मुनि गंधर्व मिली, करी सर्वागे विरंच के लोका। संग गोतनुधारी भूमि विचारी, परम विकल भय शोका। ब्रह्मा सब जाना, मन अनुमाना, मोर कछु न बसाए। जा करी तय दासी, सो अविनाशी, हमरेउ तोर सहाय। धरनि धरई मन धीर कह, बिरंचि हरि पद सुमिरे। जानत जन की पीर प्रभु, भंजहि दारुण विपति। But where is this indestructible, the cause of everything? How to make him listen our prayer? This question was there before him. No need to say that this question is eternal. कहाँ पाइए प्रभु कर ये पुकारा. Again and again, this echoes in the life of the man. Answers are given too. Everyone has different perspectives. Everyone acknowledges it was per his own feeling. Everyone acknowledges it as per his own feeling. That time too, different answers were received. Vishnu's two forms are especially mentioned. पूरे बैकुंठ जान कह कोई, को कह पयनिधि बस प्रभु सोई। जाके हृदय भगति जसि प्रीति, प्रभु तह प्रगट सदा तेहि रीति. In this episode, mentioning of Vishnu's name also has a psychological meaning. Brahma and Shiv are present there. Vishnu is not there. As it has been already said, of the three states of life, three are perceptibly visible in awakened state, that is intellect, in dream state, mind, and ego in deep sleep. But that Chitta, which is called Vishnu, and it cannot be perceived in direct physical situations. Samadhi is needed for it. Here too, Vishnu's presence not being there is for the protection of this ideal only. Though Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiv are Tridev are equal, essentially identical, God word is used for all the three, but Vishnu is more popular. Brahma does the creation, Vishnu preservation, and Shiv destruction. It is obvious that the preserver has got more fame and popularity. His mystification and not being easily visible also becomes the cause of his significance. Here, the indication of two dwelling places which is there of Kshir Sagar and Baikunt are also indicative of two specific states born out of Chitta's Samadhi period. The vast ocean of milk is the dwelling place of Vishnu. This milk is actually indicative of pure essence state. In Samadhi, when Chitta is in pure Sattva state, devoid of Tamogun and Rajogun, the experience of that state is Vishnu seated on the bed of Shesh. The vision of Shesh, on whose head the whole existence is situated, is seen here. as if this is the search for the foundation of the creation. On the head of the foundation is the universe, and Vishnu is in the heart. He does not collapse with this most heavy weight. The reason is Vishnu residing in the heart. Those who have the Lord in their heart, it is easy for them even to lift the burden of the whole universe. Bakunthalok is situated up in the sky. It is imagined thus. This sky is indicative of the nothingness of the Chit, in which there is lack of even the Sattva. This is that world where liberated beings reside. Kshir Sagar is significant of Chitta's Savikalp Samadhi. Vaikunt is of Nirvikalp Samadhi. Samadhi becoming Nirvikalp is significant of liberation. Hence, the relevance of Vaikunt is in harmony with this. This is the abode of Narayan, Vaikuntha Dhripati, where all those residing live in Narayan form only. This is also significant of self-realization in Nirvikal Samadhi and of Brahm, Brahm, Brahmat, Brahmatmakya Bodh. But Shiv indicates an even more remarkable truth. Lord Shiv neither endorses Kshir Sagar nor Vaikuntha while intervening in this dispute. Here, in such situation, Goswamiji has taken shelter of a different method instead of the way of the Puranas. According to the Puranas, in such situation, the deities go to the ocean of milk and pray to Vishnu. Jagam Sanyananam Chir Stir Payonidhe. But here, Shankar rejects the methodology of abode, instead questions the deities, at which place God is not there. देश काल दिशि विदिशहु माही कहहु सो कहा जहाँ प्रभु नाही. There is a special reason for that new method which is mentioned here. By accepting some unique form in some specific place, the universality and eternality of this ideology is destroyed. If we accept his residence in a specific place, then the question arises about the ability to go there. Then the possibility of only some specific deities reaching that place is there. Hence, they will be out of reach of the general community, and it will be possible for him to give his proximity to people of a particular time period only. Along with that, the place and form will become the topic for a exceptional controversy. Hence, basically, Manas accepts him as devoid of abode and form. In this manner, this Brahma will prove to be the most easily attainable and devoid of controversy, being universal and formless, as if in this ideology too the emotion of the well-being of all has been taken care of. Though there are stories of four kalp mentioned in Manas, three nominally and the fourth in detail. In three kalp, the incarnations of Shri Vishnu and Narayan take place. But the fourth kalp, in which the attributeless, formless Brahm takes the form of Ram, Manas has the detailed story of this kalp. In the above conversation, Lord Shiv's statement inspires in the direction of the incarnation of this Brahma only. There is this attraction in the name and formless Brahm that the devotee can willingly give him a name and form according to his interest. Hence, Lord Shankar gives indication of the pervasiveness of the Brahma and gives inspiration to reveal it because its pervasiveness and mere existence will not serve any purpose of anybody. Goswamiji said, throwing light on the necessity of the attributeless Brahma turning into the one with attributes. व्यापकु एक ब्रह्म अविनाशी सत चेतन घन आनंद राशि अस प्रभु हृदय अछत अभिकारी सकल जीवन जग दीन दुखारी. In spite of him residing in the heart, the empire of sorrow, mental suffering, and physical diseases that exist in the world, seeing it, many start having doubt in his existence. Despite of being so close, who doesn't get influenced by our sorrow and happiness? Of what use is his existence for us? Doubt is natural in this situation. Faith personified Lord Shiv tells the method to get over this doubt. He is, but it has to be revealed, and the means to reveal it is love. Love is effortless samadhi. Brahma is revealed through it only. अग जग में सब रहित विरागी प्रेम ते प्रभु प्रगटई जिमि आगी. हरि व्यापक सर्वत्र समाना प्रेम ते प्रगट होई मैं जाना. I know the one who declares this confidently is Lord Shiv. The means through which God appears is most easily available, but in spite of being most easily available, seems to be the most difficult one. Everyone loved Lord Shiv's words. Brahma acclaimed too. After that, Brahma sings the glories, and in the reply to his prayer, there is an oracle or Akashvani. All this is so simple, but here, even after so many prayers offered daily, no reply seems to come. Why? What was unique in Brahma's prayer? Goswamiji has described it in the following words. सुनी बिरंची मन हर्ष तन पुलकी नयन बह नीर अस्तुति करत जोरी कर सावधान मति धीर. Brahma is influenced by which characteristics of the prayer for that following words were used. जानि सभय सुर भूमि बचन समेत स्नेह गगन गिरा गंभीर भई हरनि शोक संदेह. Actually, the whole essence of spiritual practice is contained in both of these. The earth and the deities are fearful. For incarnation, the primary question is that if there is the real need of his incarnation in the person's life. This question appears to be weird from a general perspective, but if a person does self introspection, then this shocking truth will be revealed before him that despite the fact that we often call the Lord, we do not have any need for him because in internal and external life towards the vices or the evils that grow in the external situations towards them, the honest intention to eradicate them may rarely arise. Our protest towards these is either plainly intellectual or born out of jealousy, in the root of which this feeling keeps on acting that others are making more benefits than us. Hence, protest against them should be done in the cover of Dharma and God. Like a dacoit who calls for dharma and truth for division of shares in the robbed booty. The exactly same mentality is of the most people amongst us. Hence, no matter in how loud voice people raise slogans against the evil, criticize it verbally, but their intrinsic mind understands their own deception, and this is the biggest cause of the evil not getting destroyed. Till the time the deities and earth took that situation as tolerable, which was created by Ravan, they did not feel the true need, neither did they call the Brahma. There are two words in the above mentioned verse which are the breath of spiritual practice. Jani Sabhay and Bachan Samet Sneh, fear and love is its culmination. Let fear and love is that container in which the secret of devotion lies. Fear is the beginning of practice and love is its culmination. Let us take fear first. Though we see the pervasive effect of two emotions in the human society through which it is driven, fear and greed. Caste, society, administration, hell, etc. are few such fears because the fear of any of these keeps the man somewhat controlled. On the other hand, man is also seen indulging in great deeds motivated by the desire of obtaining praise, fame, and money. Though emotions of fear and greed are such double-edged swords which can attack in both directions, whereas fear and greed's emotion take man in the direction of goodness, they also inspire for the wrongdoing. Sometimes, from the feeling of defense in fear, a person indulges in the direction of violence, untruth, etc. When it appears that the person before me is about to attack, then sometimes he himself attacks, being fearful of that doubt. Similarly, when he doesn't see the fulfillment of his desire from any rightful way, being enchanted by lust of greed, then he tries to attain it by even the worst of ways. But it is beyond doubt that these two emotions operate the society as the driving force. But fear is the more persuading and powerful emotion of those two emotions because of these two emotions, because the biggest worry that a person has is the total destruction of his existence. Though greed is visible to a larger extent, still it cannot be as worrisome and agitating because the emotion of the elimination of existence is not there. The tendency of both these emotions is seen in devotion, but the emotion of fear is more helpful in the intense desire for the incarnation of Brahma, especially when the fear is very intense and no physical means seems to be capable of its eradication, then that grief which comes in that person or community is rare elsewhere. But no one gets leaned in the direction of devotion or God. For inclination towards devotion, along with fear, intense faith is also needed. When there is faith in God's existence and His capability of elimination of fear, then only the person can ride on the path of devotion. This mental state can be divided into three parts. One, that fear where there is apprehension of elimination of existence. Two, no power in the world can give freedom from this fear. 3. God is there and He can certainly destroy this fear. We can give it the name of fear, devotion, and faith in short. Like this, we can take fear as the beginning of devotion. Sometimes this emotion has to be created for devotion. There is a very touching example of this in Manas in the character of Sugriv. Sugriv was inflicted by the intense emotion of fear. Bali had snatched everything from him and his wife too. He also wanted to snatch his life. There was only one place where there was no threat of coming of Bali, Pravarsan Giri. But seeing Lord Ram and Lakshman coming near that mountain, his fearful inner self became doubtful. What if Bali has sent these mighty warriors to kill me? Feeling of running away came. Then he thought, let me at least find out. As a result, Hanumanji goes, and in the end, Sugriv and Ram are tied with the thread of friendship. The result is destruction of Bali. Sugriv became the king. The Lord instructed to run the kingdom and demanded, Angad sahit karahu tum raju, santat hriday dharehu mam kaju. Remember my task. But engrossed in the pleasures of the kingdom, Sugriv forgot even Ram, leave alone the task. Days after days kept on passing, and like this, after rainy season, the winters arrived too. But Sugriv didn't take any note of it. Lord said to Lakshman, the arrow with which I killed Bali, I will kill Sugriv with the same arrow. The mighty Lakshman doesn't believe in tomorrow. He said to the Lord, give the orders today and this moment itself. Shankarji was narrating the episode of the story. Parvatiji sunk in astonishment hearing this discussion. Ram got furious on the friend and got ready to kill him. Lord Shiv explained, जासु कृपा छूटहि मद मोहा ता कहूँ उमा कि सपने हूँ कोहा. जान नहीं यह चरित्र मुनि ज्ञानी जिन रघुबीर चरण रति मानी. What is the secret of anger? It is ridiculous and unfair to even imagine the emotion of revenge in the Lord, but he recognized the root cause of the illness. Sugriv's wisdom and affection has not matured so much that he may act out of inspiration from them, and I have eradicated the feeling of fear. No, no, for Sugriv's welfare, to bring the remembrance in the heart, fear is presently needed. Hence, he explained to Lakshman, see, you don't have to kill, create fear so that my friend comes back again. This fear is Sugriev's treatment. तब अनुजहि समझावा रघुपति करुणा सीव भय दिखाई ले आवहु तात सखा सुग्रीव. But this job had been done on the other side by faith incarnation Hanumanji. He also saw Sugriev's mistake and created fear by explaining. What was the result? Wisdom emerged from fear. Wisdom emerged from fear. It is clear the feeling of fear is very precious. It is clear the feeling of fear is very precious if it is utilized. The feeling of fear is present widely in the society, but for devotion along with fear, there should be a realization of shelterlessness. Till the time there is trust on other ways of fear eradication, there cannot be an experience of the need of God truly. Mostly along with fear, faithlessness comes in life. Like a patient distressed with acute disease takes the shelter of diverse treatment methods and many doctors, the same mental tendency is of a fear inflicted man. Therefore, if with the feeling of fear we try other methods and realize their uselessness, in that situation, shelterlessness and as a result a feeling of shelterness would come. On many occasions, with extreme crisis, the inconsideration from the people proves to be precious from this aspect that through this the person comes to know the reality of the situation quickly. The selfishness of the world is not portrayed for creation of malice by the devotional poets because the world is selfish. After knowing this only, that person can hate and grudge who is considering himself selfless. If he inspects this kind of selflessness keenly, that dislike and hate also tell that he wants reciprocation from the society or people. Hence, he himself is not selfless. Not being selfless ourselves, we do not retain the right of hate and grudge for other selfish people. Then the motive of this portrayal is the knowledge of shelterlessness leading to dawn of God's shelterness. But the realization of shelterlessness is not enough. In fact, the truth is that only the knowledge of shelterlessness can make a person extremely hopeless and can encourage the emotion of suicide. Such incidents keep on happening in the society where a person embraces death, becoming hopeless from all directions. This is the most terrifying form of the emotion of fear when the person eliminates his own existence with his own hands. It is evident that he is fearful of his existence being eliminated by others' hands in an even worse way. Hence, he tries to quickly eliminate it himself. Here, Existence word is used in a very broad perspective. Generally, different people have different images in their minds of their existence. In the perspective of the few, their existence is dependent on their respect or wealth. For them, the existence devoid of wealth or respect is possible is not possible, so they want to erase it with their own hands. This way, it can be said that the emotion of fear and shelterlessness can be the most harmful in the world if it is not developed and utilized in the right direction. That poorness and hopelessness which is portrayed in devotion, many intellectual critics have criticized it very intensely because they know the bad results of the emotions of fear, poorness, and hopelessness originating in the life of a person. Hence, it is often said that devotion has made people weak and escapists. Outwardly, this criticism seems to be very appropriate, but on pondering over the nature of devotion in an up close manner, the shortcoming of this criticism can be understood immediately. Truly, if the devotees had only described hopelessness or poorness only, then it would have been an unforgivable crime towards the society. Imagine that some calamity is about to come on a nation or society. The government spreads the dreadfulness of that calamity or disease but does not tell the way to be protected from it, then it will be a bad thing. It is its duty that it presents the reality before the people, but it should also instruct that what should be done in that crisis. To hide the reality is a crime too. What did the devotees do? They did not only terrified and made the society hopeless. Instead, in place of that, they blow they blew the conch of faith and awakened hope and faith in their hearts. Shelterness Shelterlessness is that field where on Shelterlessness is that field where, on sowing the seed of faith, God's grace gets sprouted. In this context, let one more allegation be mentioned, and it is that by devotion, laziness can be nourished. Even if it is accepted that the devotee gives importance to faith in God in place of hopelessness, then through this inaction will increase in the society, because if God will do everything, then what is the need left for us to do anything? It is possible that this logic is proved on seeing those few self acclaimed devotees who are idle, and the harmful effect is there on the society. But what is the fault of the principle in this? There will always be people who misuse any principle like this. It cannot be stopped in any way. It is to be seen, is there any shortcoming in this principle itself? Along with it, this thing will be of no less importance that those great men who have carried out the principles of devotion in their own lives, what proof is their character giving? It is clear those devotees whose characters are mentioned in Puran, Manas, etc., they are so dutiful that there is no trace of lethargy or laziness there. In this regard, people's attention does not go on an important fact that without acting out of one's complete caliber, how can one how can anyone have the realization of the shelterlessness and the need for God in the true sense? Because when shelterlessness is mentioned, then not only about then in it not only about the world but also the stage before the ending of one's own power and intelligence is mentioned, and the limit of one's own caliber only can do the real judgment of it. This fact has been expressed through different characters again and again in Manas. Giving one example here will not be out of context. The Lord vows to kill Bali to protect Sugriv, horrified by fear. सुनु सुग्रीव मारिहो बाली ही एक ही बाण ब्रह्म रुद्र शरणागतहु गए न उबरहि प्राण. But Sugriv, who's terrified of Bali's might, doesn't get assured with this vow. He doubts whether it is possible to kill Bali with just one arrow. He expresses this doubt too. The Lord asked, "What is the way to trust?" The bones of Dundubi demon and 7 palm trees were made as the testing criteria. The Lord threw away the bones far away in just a moment and pierced the 7 trees with a single arrow. Sugriv had faith now. सखा सोच त्यागहु बल मोरे सब विधि घटब काज मैं तोरे कह सुग्रीव सुनहु रघुबीरा बाली महाबल अति रंधीरा दुंदुबि अस्थि ताल दिखराए बिनु प्रयास रघुनाथ ढाए देखि अमित बल बाढ़ी प्रीति बाली बधब इन भई परतीति. In these lines, there is the portrayal of this test, but even after this, the Lord presents Sugriv himself to fight the battle. Why? Actually, there are two reasons for this: full use of the remaining caliber and the emergence of complete realization of shelterlessness. Sugriv too accepted it. The reason is clear. Though he is less powerful in comparison to Bali, but the situations have changed presently. The vow-bound Raghavendra is with him, hence he is safe from the fear of death. In such a situation, this temptation was natural to come in his heart that it is possible that today I might defeat Bali with my own strength. Hence, he challenges Bali for fighting. Sugriv gets defeated in the battle. He goes to the Lord all anxious. Raghavendra said, "I got deceived by the similarity in both of you. But this is an external reason. The state of shelterlessness has not arrived yet." Lord Ram proposed, "Okay, let me give you more power." Sugriv gets ready for the fight once again. The earlier mental state gets more hopeful. Now, along with self power, a part of Ram's power is available too. If I could defeat myself, then the taint of the previous defeats, if I could defeat Bali myself, then the taint of the previous defeats and cowardice will be washed away. This very emotion was acting in his heart at that time. Laced with the garland given by the Lord and power He again gets engaged in fight with Bali, but the defeat of this moment completely changed the mental state because this time death was clearly visible in the front to him. The residual pattern of giving importance to his own intelligence and power started vanishing. The complete shelterlessness arose. Then Lord's help was attained. Lord's arrow made Bali fall. बहु छल भल बहु छल बल सुग्रीव कर हिय हारा भय मानी मारा बाली राम तब हृदय मांझ सरतानी. It is clear from this that though the devotee gives utmost importance to shelterlessness and poorness, but it is not possible for him to be idle in his heart. Only after total efforts that fear and shelterlessness come, in which Lord's help is needed. This is clear from Sugriv's character. With these kind of observations, it is clear that devotion starts with the emotion of fear. The need of faith along with fear is also clear. But does that mean that fear is its foundation? No, it is not like that because faith born out of fear can also be an indicator of incapability and helplessness. Hence, fear, despite being the inspirational power, cannot become the breath of devotion. It can be said thus that the faith that emerges after fear creates love in the conscience. Hence, despite fear bearing great importance till the time love is fully developed, still, as soon as love awakens, love takes the place of the foundation because a faith born out of fear can loosen up at that time when the reasons for fear are resolved. Whose slight glimpse is present in Sugriev's character, although there too love had arisen. Yes, it had become little dormant in the attraction of lust and indulgence in pleasures. Hence, there also the repetition of fear is only to wake up from sleep. But it is certain that in the absence of full growth of love, the fear of loosening of faith will continue to exist. The process of love moves somewhat as such. Though the person inflicted by fear wants to get rid of fear instantly, still the one he goes near to for shelter, he has the curiosity to know his nature, qualities, etc. Hence, on listening to his nature qualities, the affectionate succulence towards him certainly grows in his heart. Later, after getting rid of the sorrow due to the feeling of gratitude, the affection gets even more strength in it. Then the love gets so expensive that even without any fear or greed, it stays engrossed in devotional service. Like this, love, realization, and faith are interconnected. In Sanskrit, sneh, that is love, is also used for oil and ghee. On rubbing with oil, lubrication comes in the body in place of dryness. If someone wants to bring such lubrication with water instead of oil, then he would fail for sure. Although water is also a liquid like oil, but there is no stability in it or its lubrication. Keep on applying it and it will keep on drying out. This love can be compared to love propagated in devotion. In Uttarkand of Manas, this sequence is described in very soulful words. जाने बिनु न होई परतीति, बिनु परतीति होई नहीं प्रीति, प्रीति बिना नहीं भगति दृढ़ाई, जिमि खगपति जल कै चिकनाई. Just like water's lubrication is momentary, similarly, in absence of love, only devotion will also be momentary. With desires, with desires, water only, momentary lubrication will come in it. But what is the sequence of this love? Without knowing, faith does not develop, and without faith, love or affection cannot exist. In absence of love, devotion cannot be deep seated. What is love? To answer it, an independent book is required. The masters, despite accepting love as indescribable, have written too much about it. I will describe love in short here. The definition of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu is concise and beautiful. By which the heart gets fully tender by all means and full of extreme attachment, then that feeling is called as love by the scholars. Man's heart melts and solidifies every moment because the heart of human is affected by every occurrence in front of him. Hence, the melted heart takes the same shape as the effect that the incident generates, but there is no stability in the form. As soon as another emotion comes, the first form is erased and a new form is built. The liquidity which is generated in the conscience by the emotion of love, its greatest quality is its stability. That is why it has been expressed in the above mentioned verse as fully tender by all means. The tenderness which cannot be converted to rigidness again. The second word is also of too much importance. Attachment is the main part of human nature. Accepting some people and things as his and by calling them mine, a person gets self satisfaction mixed with pride. When this feeling of valuing grows in extreme magnitudes towards someone, then it is called devotion. Here, extreme signifies to converge from everything and collect at a single destination, like how the Lord guided Vibhishan. जननी जनक बंधु सुत दारा, तनु धनु भवन सुहृद परिवारा, सबके ममता ताग बटोरी, मम पद मनहि बांध बरि डोरी. Collect the scattered strings of attachment and tie them to my feet. This verse is called Mamatvatish. When the melted heart gets dedicated towards only one person, then it can be called love. Though it is accepted that this love can be anywhere, but mostly in the world there is mere likeness of love, not love. It is easy in relation of God. The base of emotion is so unstable and momentary that the uniformity of the sentiment is almost impossible. There the person has to put full efforts within himself. The permanence of God's own self and uniformity is instrumental in this emotion. Chapter 8 Incarnation ends.